Visualization is a word I often repeated throughout the previous articles, and now it's time for me to explain what it's all about. At the beginning, visualization will be the equivalent of imagination, as it will basically imagine something, like for instance, visualize, imagine, white prana approaching you. This is quite different than seeing, as visualization is done with closed eyes, whereas seeing the energy with your eyes open is a whole different thing. Visualization is mainly a thought, an image, whereas when you're looking with your eyes wide open, you're clearly seeing what's real. At the beginning, you don't know all the makings of your sixth sense, so you can only imagine. If I asked you to attract energy towards yourself, you wouldn't know how to do it. Since you don't know what energy is, you don't know how to attract it, you don't even know what it looks like. Through visualization, I'll teach you how to really attract energy, starting from a thought and then actualizing it in real life. Of course, if you're not an expert in this field, you might think it's just about fantasy, and it's going to be only some kind of suggestion for your whole life. But you will be amazed when you realize what a single thought can create and materialize. If it was just about fantasy, you would be the only one to see it, but when you learn how to use your abilities and actualize your thoughts, also the others will be able to see what you only used to imagine until then. Let's take energy, for example. You might think it's just your thought, your imagination, but if you train your physical side with your eyes open, you will actually be able to see energy around you because it has always existed. Millions of people can see it, for instance watching the energy dots moving or looking at auras, doing all of these activities with your eyes wide open and actually seeing colors moving. Visualization is something else because it's about thinking or imagining something you're not observing with your eyes open, but created in your own mind. Through visualization, you'll manage to really focus on things until you see them actualized in real life, thus turning into something which is actually material and no longer only a thought in your mind. Let's take, for example, the law of attraction. If you think very intensely of something you wish and imagine it, this approaches you or actually turns into something real. Maybe it's still too soon for you, you're still afraid this is just about fantasy, but if you feel like you have to go further, it means that deep down inside, you know it's impossible that millions of people have collective hallucinations, since they don't exist. One single person can get delusional, but when several people with a good mental health and totally sober see and tell the same things, you can easily understand it's not about suggestion, it's real. It would be more unlikely to believe that millions of people can get delusional at the same time and see the exact same things in the very same way. This would be totally weird, more paranormal than the real paranormal events. Visualization makes you understand how something works in your mind first, so that consequently you are able to make it happen in real life too. There's no need to be afraid of visualization, as if you stay conscious, you will always be able to tell what is actually true from what is only your imagination. When you are dreaming, for instance, you don't realize you're inside a dream, but when you wake up, you're well aware of being awake, and you recognize the difference of the reality surrounding you from the dream you just had. You wouldn't try to jump from your balcony to see if you can fly, as you know you're awake and you're no longer in your dreams. Even though you're never conscious while you're dreaming, when you wake up, you recognize you've just had a dream, and even if it was a bad one, it's not actually dangerous for your life, because now you're awake. For the very same reason, you don't have to be scared of imagining something, as you will be able to recognize if you're only thinking of something or if it's actually happening in real life. The best artists and the most famous geniuses used to visualize a lot to get to their most incredible discoveries. Brilliant minds still do it nowadays, and this is why they become brilliant. Visualization is very important because it allows you to simulate something before you actually do it. Try to think, for instance, of those athletes who before every competition or match visualize in their own mind the moves they will make and their opponents, as dedicating that half an hour or more to do so, they will realize which moves are necessary to win the competition or which ones they shouldn't make if they don't want to lose, finding out in advance which will be their opponent's moves, thus being able to foresee them. Visualization is a real technique that doesn't last only 2-3 seconds, as we usually do when we think of a sentence we want to tell someone before talking to them. It's a technique that needs to be practiced for at least 10-20 minutes, during which you're already practicing something inside your mind, so that when you do it in real life, you will be much stronger and more confident in every single move. Singers, actors, politicians visualize the trend of their entire performances or speeches in advance. This way, they allow their minds to evaluate what's going to happen in the meantime and what should be improved in order to make things turn out best for themselves. For instance, they visualize their concert realizing that, while they imagine they're dancing to their own song, something's not right and they could improve it making a different move, wearing different shoes from the ones they had chosen, thus changing something that seemed to be the right choice at first, but now, visualizing, they realize it may jeopardize everything. Politicians visualize their speech before giving it, to understand how people may react to those sentences, and this allows them to adjust words, their posture, their body movements, so that people listening to their speech will be impressed more deeply and will follow him instead of another politician. Visualization is a technique used by many people, even if it's called with different names. In spirituality, we use visualization to attract what we want or to create what we wish for. According to the law of attraction, if you concentrate and imagine to get a certain job or something you like, you visualize how you would feel after getting it and how you would like it to proceed, imprinting this thought inside of you as if it had already occurred. In real life, it hasn't happened yet, but visualizing it very intensely, something weird will take place and make the object of your desire come close to you within the physical dimension, thus becoming actually real and no longer just a wish. Visualization allows you to create. Now you will understand the meaning of the famous expression, thought creates. During early stages of visualization practice, you may think it's only about imagination and nothing more than that, which is partially true, as it depends on how strong your mind is. It might be less than you think. With practice, however, visualization becomes a much more powerful technique, which enables you to shape real-life events around you just like you had figured them, turning your simple thoughts into reality, even the weirdest or the most absurd. If you learn the techniques, nothing is impossible anymore. Visualization is a technique and not only a daily thought. Otherwise, all your thoughts and dreams would have already come true, and, as you see, this was not the case. And sometimes it's good luck. So visualization is not only about imagination, but at the same time is not even reality, at least not yet. It's a much more advanced kind of imagination, and is not just about daydreaming, but also implies moving energy through those images. When you daydream, mostly you only imagine your moving energy, and this is why most of your thoughts don't come true, because they are just thoughts. Nevertheless, you probably realized that sometimes a positive or negative thought of yours became real, even though it was very odd and unlikely to happen. But how could this actually happen? Without even realizing it in that moment, besides imagining, you also moved energy, and this is the reason why that thought was fulfilled in real life. It's not our thought that creates, but the energy behind it, which in this case we will call intention. Intention is a feeling, a very powerful wish, which sometimes might even be unconscious if we don't realize what we're feeling. A very clarifying example might be the moment we're arguing with someone. We find ourselves unable to keep our mouth shut and we shoot aggressive words out of control, as without realizing it, the intention behind our actions is hurting that person, even if consciously we think we are just telling the truth and doing the right thing. Later, every time this happens, we regret saying those words, thinking that we were too hard with the other person. So the one in command is not our thought, not our word, but our intention, namely that feeling mixed up with energy, which rules events. Fear, for instance, is an intention that turns against us, as it materializes in real life what we would never like to see. Fear is very dangerous for us, as it makes us hurt ourselves even more than someone else could ever do. Since you have no control over your intention, it decides independently what should happen. Hence, instead of making your wishes come true, it mostly ignores them and fulfills only some of them randomly, among which your fears are fulfilled pretty often as well. Your enemy is not the intention itself, but your incapability of using it. Like it or not, intention exists, and you can run from it, as it is part of you, of the world, and of the entire universe. Intention is a feeling made up of energy, and it's the language that all the universe speaks. If you're smart, however, instead of running and denying your true nature, you step forward and decide to learn how to use it at your own advantage. There's nothing wrong with being able to use your own abilities. The problem is not who can use them, but who is not capable and, due to envy, persuades other people not to use them too. Visualization is a natural ability that you're currently using and that you've already been using in many occasions throughout your life, maybe even every day, but without knowing how to channel it towards the right direction and thus ending up fulfilling the wrong intentions. As for all of your mental abilities, visualization must be trained to bring about only those positive creations you wish for, removing negative events that your own mind generates. In other words, visualization allows you to shape your life even only through imagination. If you're wondering whether it can be a dangerous weapon for yourself, my answer is yes. It is, because you use it every day without knowing you should visualize only positive events and never negative ones. This happens because no one has ever taught you before, so you've probably been doing the opposite thing most of the times, continuously attracting and creating in your life negative events, from the smallest to the most devastating. Most of the time, problems happened because you let them in, letting them cross your mind and then hooking them to your life. I know it's always easy to blame others, other people, or invisible beings, yet you'll find that many problems could have been avoided if only you were conscious of your thought, instead of letting yourself get caught. Anyways, we are not here to talk about the past, but to create a better future, and you'll manage to do this if you decide to take control of your mind. It's up to you. You can choose to let it dominate you, or you can become the master of your mind and its activities. Otherwise, since it's not easy to learn how to control visualization, otherwise you would have already started a long time ago without needing any guide, you'll have to train, and step by step I will teach you all the techniques that must be practiced. Practicing, you will realize that visualization's best friend is non-thought, even though it might seem a contradiction. This is due to the fact that non-thought is not just a total block, but you can learn how to regulate it, choosing, for instance, to stop thinking of some things, or choosing not to think of anything at all on a particular day, or even deciding to think only of a precise thing. For instance, learning how to use the non-thought technique, you can choose to stop thinking negatively so that you'll stop creating unfortunate events with your own mind. You can choose to spend one day, an hour, or a very long time without thinking of any kind of errands, troubles, activities whatsoever, as you want to use that time to focus on a precise activity that you want to carry out without receiving any kind of mental distractions. Besides, you can also choose to think only of one single matter instead of letting yourself get distracted from something else. Like, for example, when you want to create something new and you absolutely don't want to lose your concentration so that inspiration can strike you. If you're an artist, you can better understand what I mean, especially because you'll be able to decide when to be inspired instead of having to wait for inspiration to rise spontaneously. You will be the one who decides. Here's why: if you only practice visualization, you won't solve all of your life problems anyway. Whereas if you learn both visualization and non-thought, the quality of your life will increase extraordinarily. So I will teach you how to visualize step by step, or even better, how to use your intention. I will teach you how to practice the non-thought, but most of all, I will teach you how to use your intention combined with your non-thought. However, everything should start on solid foundations. Hence, let's practice together a session of visualization so that you truly understand what it means to visualize resolutely and not unconsciously, and see how it makes both your mental and physical wellness increase. Even if you may like this technique a lot, remember it's totally different from meditation, as they have different aims. Through visualization, you learn how to direct your thoughts towards the right direction, but it's only with the pure and strong energy absorbed through meditation that you manage to make your hardest, most unlikely desires come true. The stronger your energy is, the more effective your intention will be in making your wishes come true. But without pranic energy absorbed through meditation, your intention wouldn't be strong enough the whole time, and most of your wishes won't come true, except for some of them that materialize only by chance. Since we don't mean to wait for luck, but we want to actualize our wishes in real life when we want them to come true, we need to learn how to use our own power through a steady training and great amounts of energy, which you can get only through meditation. If you believe the opposite, you can keep on being subjected to life, while others choose to practice to conquer it. Some people prefer to delude themselves into thinking that visualization is just like meditating, but it's not. It would be like saying that eating and drinking are the same thing only because both actions imply something entering your mouth. Similarly, some people think that visualizing and meditating are the same thing only because both are practiced with your eyes closed. This doesn't make sense. Meditation allows you to absorb energy and become conscious. Visualization enables you to improve your thinking and to choose what to imagine, so that you can understand what you really want and strengthen your intention, which otherwise would remain very weak without any energy. The strength of your intention and energy must go at the same pace. It's perfectly normal that even if you have some energy but you remain uncertain, mentally weak and insecure, you'll achieve very little, and you would achieve even less if you were very resolute but without any pranic energy. Intention is a feeling that grows stronger and more tangible thanks to larger amounts of energy, making your wishes come true. Without energy, intention often remains just thought. But learning how to visualize allows you to understand what intention is and why, as of now, you're still unable to control it properly. This way, you'll manage to learn how to use your intention, and through meditation and the energy it gives you, you'll manage to see your wishes materialize in real life. I could keep on describing and explaining its meaning, but it's so much better if you start practicing and see real proofs. We're going to start with a simple visualization practice, and then we'll proceed in the next articles with an increasing level of difficulty. Indeed, you realize that a lot of techniques that I'll be teaching you along this path will often start with visualization, just like meditation itself. But our ultimate aim is to learn how to get great results without thinking anymore, obtaining them directly through your intention, namely that feeling without any thought. Everything starts on solid foundations. Just like before learning how to run, you've had to start crawling. And although now you no longer need to crawl since you know how to walk and run using the right balance and strength of your legs, and you would even feel like a fool if you crawled, you can't deny that in the past crawling has been essential at an early stage to reach your current level. Now you can stand on your own feet. So don't rush, take your time, and be aware that you have to start from scratch before reaching higher levels. Make yourself comfortable and settle down, because we're about to start a visualization session that's going to last around 10-15 minutes. Try to avoid any kind of distractions during the whole practice. Let's get this started. Relax. Breathe deeply and start to relax for at least a minute. Start wishing for bright white energy, which makes you feel so peaceful. Truly wish for it, figuring as if it was approaching you. Imagine the purest white energy coming directly from the universe and gathering here, inside your room. Visualize tons of white energy shining bright, coming directly from the skies into your house to fill up your room. Visualize this white energy entering your room, coming from all directions, from the sky and from everywhere around you. Focus on attracting as much prana as possible. Feel how its presence makes you feel whole and sheltered, calm and serene. It fills you up with joy. With a deep breath, attract all the energy around you like a very strong wind. Make it move around you. Increase the intensity of your intention. Wish even more intensely for this energy to enter your room, attracting larger amounts. Summon even more energy than before. Visualize lots of energy entering your house, filling up every corner and portion of the room with a super bright light, almost blinding. Feel sheltered by the presence of so much energy. Focus and keep on attracting prana inside your house. It's never enough. Let some more in and feel how its presence makes you feel even more protected and happier. Now imagine all this energy inside your room starting to move around you, as if to surround you, revolving slowly and continuously around you. Don't lose your concentration. Visualize this energy moving around you like in a circle. Now focus on moving this energy in the opposite way. So if it was revolving clockwise, now it will start revolving counterclockwise. Stay focused and visualize this energy moving around you in a circle. Visualize the energy approaching you, filling up with prana that gap between you and the energy, which was empty before. Visualize this white prana so bright that it's almost blinding, which covers you in white and makes it impossible to see anything else inside your room. You can only see the light. Now, attract it even closer to you. Visualize it very close to you as if it was touching you. Absorb inside of you all this energy, letting it enter your body through every possible point. Visualize this super bright energy entering inside of you, as if within you there was an infinite space that was waiting to be filled. Fill yourself up with prana. Focus on absorbing all the prana inside your room, letting it enter into you. Breathe deeply and relax. We're done. The first session is over. Clearly, visualization is so much more than that, but we'll get there step by step. Thinking over what we just did, especially when you made the energy inside your room revolving around you in a white energy circle, you probably started to imagine a large but very thin circle revolving around you, even though just a moment before you'd visualized your room filling up with tons of energy. Don't you think that circle was too thin? Considering all the energy you'd been attracting, you should have visualized an entire room of prana revolving around you. I suppose that later you started visualizing a spiral and not a circle anymore, revolving around you and shaping a moving spiral. But the technique was asking you to visualize a circle, not a spiral. Or maybe you saw yourself as a third person and visualized energy revolving around you, instead of seeing yourself in first person as you should have. It's all quite simple. Your visualization took over you and stopped following your instructions. This shows you still have to work very hard before learning how to perfectly control your thoughts. But you don't have to worry. It's perfectly normal. You've just started. It would be a whole different thing if you'd already been practicing for years, as that would mean there was something wrong with your practice and it would be just about time to start practicing seriously. But if you manage to visualize a whole room full of prana revolving around you, a huge amount of super bright light revolving around you in a perfect circle, then it's a great result. But don't you even think you've reached your destination, because we've only just begun. As you can see, visualization is a real technique that allows you to better focus on something you'd like to get. When you opened your eyes, you didn't see the amount of blinding prana, but if you practice correctly, you probably saw a lot of tiny gray and black spheres moving around inside your room, among which there were also some thin light strips that moved very quickly from one side of the room to the other. If you saw it, I'm really happy for you, because that is energy. If you keep on practicing visualization, attracting prana, and strengthening your intention, you will fill up your room with an increasingly strong energy, until you're able to see it also with your eyes open. It's true, you only visualized and imagined to attract energy, but your thought is very powerful, and even if you can't see it immediately, you've actually summoned real energy into your room. This is just your first experience, but if you keep up with the practice, you'll manage to see it, touch it, and actually feel it. You just have to practice. To learn more about us, you can visit our website dimensionalconsciousnessacademy.com. See you soon.